So, welcome again for the second time, this time for real. So, if you're joining us for the first time, we have been going through building out a contacts application. This is the outline of what we've been doing, which I posted in the chat room. You can also follow along at some point and go to github.com/JoeG If you look at the outline page, it kind of talks about everything that we've been going through. We started off with introducing our IDEs. We built out a model, then went through the business layer, data layer, as long as some helpful links for how we built out the data layer. Then we walked through the application by creating or added to the application unit test. Now, just a helpful tip. Whenever we're using a technology that's not out of the box, like Entity Framework, SQLite, XUnit, there's usually a link on the page for you to get more info on it. There's also a video link, as you can see here, as well as the source code. That's a GitHub commit ID that will take you to the code at that point at the end of whatever the stream was. We then went and added mocks and added full code coverage to our application. We then looked at the data persistence layer and kind of separated it out from the main domain versus the database implementation. We did that for a couple of reasons. The primary was to allow us to be able to separate once we actually push this live somewhere. Most likely we'll start off to Azure. Allows us to separate the database without having to change the rest of the application. We then spent about a week or so on the building out the web API, documented the API using Swagger. We then kind of wrapped it up. We then spent a day or two adding authentication to the application. This allows us to use credentials like our Hotmail login or your domain logins to access the API. Once the API was wrapped up, we looked at taking a look at building some clients. We started off at first with an ASP.NET Core MVC app and started working on that. If you were part of the stream on Tuesday, you'll know we didn't get that far with the authentication part. Did some work on it yesterday, and last night I finally figured out what I did. One of the problems with going cutting edge or bleeding edge is that sometimes the documentation is not updated or documentation is in different states. In my particular case, I was mixing documentation from the new stuff and the old stuff. So we're going to kind of clean that up, get the authentication working again with the contact API, and then, or not with the contact API, but with our client. Once we get that working, we will go and connect our MVC app to it. So let's take a look at two crucial steps that were missed from an Azure standpoint. Yes, the connection was undue. So if you followed along with the past, we have a separate set of directories. In this case, I built out a coding with JoeG. I want to do that. We have a coding with JoeG domain that allows us to be able to have our own authentication separate from everything else, and that's what you see here. Within that, we have three different app registrations, which we can see once we click on app registrations. Contacts API is our main one. We then built out one last Thursday for us to talk to the API using a Postman client. Today, we're building out one for an MVC client. So in order for us to do that, we need to do something called impersonation. We want our API client to act on behalf of the user. So we're going to add some impersonation to it. So in order to do that, we need to add a expose a new scope. And the scope we need to add is called user impersonation. And I don't know if this has to be there, this name, or not. Excuse me, my nose is really itchy all of a sudden. But I am going to add it because that's the way documentation had it, and that's the way I got it to work. So I'm going to put allows clients to let's do API contacts, API user impersonation. Might be able to change names, but like I said, right now I just want to get it to work, and this is the way I know how to get it to work. Allows a client application to impersonate a user to connect to the API. I think this is one of those implicit settings. Once you set it with a certain name, it automatically does what you want. I didn't complain about that at the top. And then we're going to do an add scope. I don't need to copy out the name of the scope. You should see it here. But we then need to go back to registrations and contacts MVC. Then in our API, we are going to add that new permission. And to do that, we click on Add Permission, choose My APIs, choose a Contact API, and then you see this came up as a separate permission altogether. So we're going to do that, click on Add, and that should be good. Now we set up permissions that says, allow the user authentication to happen in your application, and then fake that user off. You're not really faking the user, but you're passing the credentials along, not requiring the user to relog in through the application. So let's go take a look at that. I undid all the changes I did last night to kind of walk you through what we need to change. So first thing is, and I hope I remembered everything, if not, we'll be learning again together. Let's go to our app settings. We need to set up the correct, I didn't undo that. We got the secrets here. We got this. I had this as common, only because I think that's the right way we need to do it. And then I added in a new one. This is just easier for us later on. So I'm going to do API root, and then what I call this, scope URI. And this is just going to have the prefix for the scope. So let's go back to Azure and copy out that scope URI. Believe it or not, I don't have it memorized. And that's this one here. Oops, don't need a semicolon there. Now that should be all the setup. Now we have to go to the startup and kind of wire up everything together. One of the things I noticed is that we had this authentication twice. Let me increase the font a little bit. Let's do U14, and then 14 should be good. And then for the appearance, let's do U14 too. I'll take a quick look at the screen above to see if that's good. That's a little bit better. Let's just make it 16, just to be clear. I was playing around earlier this morning trying to find a way to dynamically load this. There is a presentation mode, but it turns off a lot of stuff, which I don't like to do. So you notice here, in lines 47 through 54, we have some of the declaration. We also have some of it here in lines 38 through 44. So we have it twice, so that could cause some issues. So I am going to remove one set of them. And then the second set of them, I have handy off on another set of screens so I don't have to type them. There are two different things we need to do. This permissioning won't work as it is because we don't have the API scope in there. And I don't know why that is. I plan to reach out to the security team to find out. I know when we built the API examples, that was not needed. We can just pass in the text, but for some reason, when you're calling from the client, we need the entire scope. So let's do that for now. And for sake of you having to watch me type, I am just going to paste these in there. Okay. That's our full API. We're going to pull this from the configuration file a little bit. I want to make sure it's working, and then we will be good to go. So we got that, we got that, we got that. The only other thing is, the initial scopes is different. So my previous example, I broke this out a little bit before just to clean up stuff. So I'm going to do that here. So we can probably combine a lot of this stuff afterwards, but this just allows us to see it a little bit clearer. So let me delete all this text here, paste it in. So now we're there. We're adding the sign in, passing in the configuration. That's going to go get the AD Azure. We create a string array of all the different possible scopes we can want. We then call the add protected web API, pass it in the configuration and the list of scopes, and then we say use the in-memory token caches. It builds a cache so it's not constantly going back and forth with tokens. There's a SQL database that you can do, as well as a couple other options. When we move to a production environment, we might start using the SQL database for caching because you'll have a lot of users. If you have a lot of users, you don't want all that in memory. Then we're adding the controllers with the view, and we are adding additional policies to require authentication, and then add the Microsoft Identity UI. So that's your typical Hotmail login. Everything else is the same. Configuration is the same as we had it. So now our application works from a startup standpoint. Let's make sure it still builds. I lost my keyboard displayer. I don't know what happened to my keyboard display. It usually displays my shortcuts. Must have turned it off in the last reboot. So I turned it back on so you can see what I'm typing. Okay, now that we have that, let's go to our controller and take a look. So the contact controller the home controller really hasn't changed. Everything is the same. We want to keep it that way. The authorize says authorize anyone that comes here. You don't necessarily need to do that. You might want to just authorize the contacts thing, but it's on there. We'll leave it there for now. We can clean it up later. Now the contacts is where we had a lot of the problem. Most of this stays the same. We're probably going to use a different HTTP client, so I'm going to comment this out in a little bit. We have the task which comes in and says, hey, what do you want to do? There is a way to clean it up a bit, and you can do an attribute called allow for scopes. And why are you not showing? There we go. Did I type in the name right? I am taking a look at another screen to see if I got the name right. Oh, it's not allow, it's authorize. And then we pass it in a list of scopes like we did before. And does it take a scopes? So this is something that's kind of cool that is in version 1.15 preview, is you can give it a section and then it will pull in the scopes from there, or you can specify a string of scopes, which we will do. It's only going to want one scope, but just like before, it needs the fully qualified string. And we're going to fix this up. I just want to get us working, and then we can clean it up or make it pretty. Now I'll say new string. That's good. And then we need to do the same here. And now when we run it, let's get rid of that extra text. Get rid of that extra text. Now we should be good. It's running, it's going to go get the scopes and then come back to here. So I put a breakpoint on here on purpose. One, to make sure we don't get any exceptions from here, and then two, to see what the access token is. So let's do this. Click on debug. And notice I clicked it 67 times because it's easier when I'm doing a demo to press so you can see what I'm doing versus some of the keyboards. And because I'm working on a Mac, that one's like 4 keys to press versus clicking a simple button. So off on another screen should start the application, which we see here. We have contacts. Nothing here has changed. I am going to click contacts. And I got here. I am going to step over. Hopefully not get an exception if I got it right. If there's a delay, that means that it's probably working the right way. And it is not working the right way. What did I miss? So let's see. I've experienced pretty much every error. Yep, user null, no account, which means I have some of the wrong credentials. So let's go back and double check my credentials. I know because I worked through this quite a few hours last night trying to figure it out. So let's start here with that. And I have a separate spreadsheet. Sorry, my eyes are going to go. Why is my face so red? Let's see if I change the lighting a little bit. I look like an Oompa Loompa. There it goes. That's a little bit better. It's too much now. Let's go take a look. So our client ID should start with 97F9, which it does. Our client secret should be IC something or other. And then the common equals, tenant ID equals common. Let me just go and change the tenant ID just in case, but I don't think that was it. I think what's really happening is my cookies are outdated and it doesn't have a way to refresh them because I'm working locally. So let's try this. Oh, there's no cookies in use. I'm going to replay this, see if it still works. If not, I'll clear the cookies. And it appeared on a different screen. Sorry for that. go to contacts, hit step over. That came back relatively quickly, but we got a error, whatever we get, same error. So I'm gonna go and kill it. You see it here, just for an FYI, acquire token silence call, meaning you needed new permissions, but we weren't able to do it. So let's go back and fix that. So I'm gonna stop the app, go back to here, and I can't clean it up from here because I just stopped the app. Silly me. I don't think I can get to the cookies from here. Nope. So let's restart the app but not go to the contacts page. Okay, so don't want to go here, so let's clean it up. See, there are 2 cookies in use. I am going to remove those cookies, hit refresh, and I should get prompted with the sign in. At some point we'll figure out a way to do it. If you notice, when we were building it initially, or when I updated the permissions, there was a little dialog box that said you might need to change your permissions because we added a new permission. So that's where this little box is coming in. Consent on behalf of your organization. I click accept. Now it's in there. Now if I click contacts, everything should be working as expected. Oh, I hit play, so I didn't get a runtime exception, so that's good. So let's stop you, go back here, stop you, and go back to debug. Yay, got back in the right window for a change. Click on contacts, my debug, step over. Now if this comes back correctly, this should be that long string it's still no. Why is it still no? Why are tokens silent fail? What did I miss? Something told me I should copy out the whole project and not undo it. Let's see. Oh, there is one other thing that I know I needed to change, but I was hoping to change it later. And that is some of the authentication that's happening. I don't know if that has an effect on it or not, but in the shared, there is the login partial, which I had set to here. This I am going to want Microsoft Identity for. Microsoft Identity. And then this, I am going to change that. They have a handy helper method called getDisplayName. That should allow that, and make sure I got the right permissions in our contact controller. Domain list, new domain list. So we should be good there. Let's do a once more, and I'm going to go log out and log back in. See how this is doing. Refresh. Refresh. There it goes. The way to tell if that change I just made works is click the sign out before it was failing. Now it should work. Probably with the dialog box, since we said you have to authorize for the app. Oh, that's my sign out. So is going to get a little weird because I have more than one Microsoft account signed in right now. So it says it signed out the other one, which means I just lost my emails. No biggie. Let's go and relog back in. Pick the account. Type in my password. See if I need to get my cell phone out. Nope. Now I should be working with the correct identities and pulling back in. Okay, we hit contact, so we're back here ready. Let's step over. Yes, that worked. So I had the wrong authentication in there before, or the wrong library. Edit the correct library so it's able to parse the token. And the reason why I know is because now I can see this token, which should look very familiar if we go back to the JWT blah blah blah, JWT.Microsoft. I should paste that in there and see all the scopes. So now we're just going to return the view, which, oops, sorry, wrong button, should ultimately return nothing. We're done. So the authentication works. We got an access token. Now we can take that access token and call the actual API. So let's go and do that. I am going to do that with the help of another project thing that I grabbed earlier, and I want to do the get all. So let's go and take care of that. So in order to get the API, we need to, one, we got the HTTP client. So that means we need to build the URL. So our URL should look something like HTTP. Actually, why don't we just copy it from here instead of me typing it? So we want the URL to look something like, where's our get all contact? Something like this. So let's go back to the contact controller. That's what we want our URL to look like. So we're going to cheat right now and just give that to the HTTP client. Now we already got an instance of the HTTP client here. We created one. We're going to use that for now. Then we're going to refactor this and take this out. So we want var response equals HTTP client dot HTTP client, what I call it, client dot get string async, I think, or get async, and then let's just pass it in this nice handy hard-coded URL. But that is not all we need to do, because we require the header information for it. So we need to add the pieces of the header to it, which is, now that we have the token, which is that access token, we need to go and add to our HTTP request. So we got to do client.default request headers.authorization, and then set this equal to new authentication header value. And then there, if you remember from the Postman client, we did this directly through the UI. Here we have to do it through code. So this tells us to use that token, and then we just want to provide the how we accept the data back, just telling it that we want to accept JSON back. New media type with qualifying header value, and then application/JSON. So now, first line, line 42, the answer to everything in the universe is set the bearer token, then set the header saying we want application JSON to return back. Then we actually get the data. So let's see what we do with the data. If response.status code, if response dot, oh, I have to await this, my bad. Await if response dot status code equals HTTP okay. Now we're good to go. We can do something outside of here saying, oh, it's bad, let's die out. We don't need to do all this here. Let's actually remove this to inside of here. Okay, now that we got the request, we sent the request, we got the response. Now we need to parse the results. And that's relatively easily. Let's do var content equals await response dot content dot read as string. Now we have the whole string back. We need to deconstruct this string. So we're going to do, we want this to be enumerable of type domain.models.contact, and then do this is in system.text, but we got JSON convert. Where is that? That should be in system.text.serializer. Let me redo that. See if I have system.text.json in here. Nope. System.text.json. And I think I just need to do a JSON serializer dot deserialize, and we want this into a enumerable of type domain dot models dot contact, and then the content. Content. Okay, so what we did here is we built out the URL. Again, these are all hard-coded. We'll fix that. Set the authorization, aka bearer token, telling the header when we send out the request, we want the response back in JSON, or actually we're accepting it in JSON. Then we are going to get the response, meaning you're going to call this method. If it's successful, read the content as a string, and then use system.text.json to deserialize that JSON and put it into the list of objects or the IEnumerable objects. Once we have that, we want to return. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here just to make sure we are getting everything right. We didn't blow up anything else. So let's move you to there. And let's stop the project first. Now we also need to, behind the scenes, start the API. So we need the API running in order for us to use the UI. And it's off executing on another thread in the background. Now let's go with our contact UI and let's debug that. So it should appear on the screen any second now. And reload. It appeared on a different screen, which is why I knew I can click reload. So we're here. We got our access token, which is long. Built at the client. Now we're going to send a response. So let's step over that. If I did everything correctly, we should get the response. Sweet, we got a response back. Looking at our debugging window, and it says status code 200, which means we have something. So let's go to the next step. Let's get the content, and we should have a string of content, which looks like it's JSON. So we're good so far. Pass it into the deserializer. Now we should have a list of contacts, and we see here we have 12 contacts. So sweet. Spent a lot of time on Tuesday getting to work, and we finally got it in 40 minutes. Now we're able to go. Everything else here will be nice and easy, but we actually have to display this. So we're able to call out to our API using authentication. Now we're going to come back and look at the actual text and how are we going to put that text on the screen. So let's just return, stop it, hit that wrong button. Visual Studio, they're right next to each other, and Writer have to go down here, but that's just me undoing so many years of work. So if we go back to the page, we'll see it's here, but now let's start populating this. So we are going to want to pass data back. There's a couple of different ways to do that in ASP.NET MVC. The easiest way right now is to do a view bag, which says here, just throw everything into it, and we are going to pass it in the contacts. I think that's all we have to do. And then they will be accessible in here. There's also a different way to do it, and I am going to go to Bing for that. ASP.NET MVC Razor send list or use list in view. Stack Overflow answers everything. Don't want that, don't want that. Lists. Oh, okay, good. This is what I thought we needed to do. So let's go and do that. Let's just check this. Return model equals that. like it this way. Since we're going to be working off the model, we're going to use the model approach. So let's go to our view now, which we created inside of the views for contact and created an index. We want to add in this declaration that says model, and then this is going to be a list of domain dot models dot contact. It's complaining because it doesn't know about all of these items because I don't have any using. I believe I need an at using here. Oh, no, I don't. What did I just do? What did I miss? Come on, Joe. At model, enumerable. That's what I did. Oh, uppercase probably. Enumerable. Do not want to do that. This is contacts. Okay, now here I should be able to do a for each, and let's do contact var contact in model, and then I am going to, let's just create what's called an unordered list right now, and then we are just going to list out each of them. So let's do li, make sure we close that li, and then here we want to do contact contact dot, or do I have to do the at each? Contact dot full name. So now when we go to that page, we should see hello from contacts that index, and then a list of all the contacts that will return back. Let's go and debug that again. Stop and rerun. Just waiting for the page to reload. Click on contacts. I'm going to remove the breakpoints for now because we don't need them. Hopefully. Cannot invoke. Oh, because I did view bag back. Okay, that's fair. Let's go back and I already closed the help with it. ASP.NET MVC set model from controller. Oh, there it goes. So all I have to do is that, since I declared that as the model, then I don't need to do this anymore. And restart. Let's go back here and double check it. Did all the breakpoints now, so we should be good. If this works, we will call it. Now we're going to work on cleaning it up and then making it easier for us to add, clean up the user interface and then add in the other pages for it. The contacts, cross our fingers. Logins, getting the authentication. Could not determine the contact name. But at least we know we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which was the number of responses that we got back. So, remember correctly, that could not determine comes straight from here. Which means all 3 fields were null. That's not good. So let's go back and put our breakpoint in and see what we missed. Breakpoint there. And refresh the page. So let's take a look at our contacts. We have 12 of them. See if you can see it on the screen. And let's open up one of them at least. Everything is null. Why is everything null? Interesting. Interesting. Why is everything null? It got the right count. Let's just double check that. Check our database. Go to contacts. 12 sounds about right. We keep adding and deleting it. There's 12 records in there. So why did you not populate? Oh. So here is where we would go and have to double debug everything. I wonder if you can see the database here. So the database exists, but I wonder if inside the repository I moved it. I know at one point we hard coded it in here, which I don't see that anywhere. Oh, it's in the context. Data source uses, let's see if that is here on my machine, which in theory it should be because that's where this is pointing to. Let's double check. Where's my terminal window? CD / projects, folder / projects / databases list. There's context DB right there. So why can't the API get to it? That is very, very interesting. So let's stop them all. We actually only want to stop that one. And let's go to launch here. And we're going to put that one in debug. And then let's go here and see if there is an error thrown anywhere. Come back. Should be right here. We called everything correctly. We should breakpoint there. this page appear. Let's go here, hit refresh. That should put us at a breakpoint somewhere in here. Or not. Don't know where it's broken out right now. Let's try. We don't need to open. Let's see if it's inside the controller. No, it hasn't gotten here yet. Oh, you know what it is? This is currently paused while we're figuring it out. So let me go and redebug that one. It was currently paused while we were figuring it out, and I didn't finish running it. So this is going to complain. I'll hit refresh. As soon as it's up and running, which it looks like it's loaded. So let's go here, hit refresh. Yeah, log in, everything's great. Excuse me. Okay, so let's take a look at our contacts. There's 12 of them. They populate. So let's do the next step. Step over. That. Take a look at the call stack and see where we are, and then we can just navigate up here. So this is returning a list. So let's go back here. Step over. Should ultimately be back at our API. Okay, contacts async from the manager. Now we are here. And what do we have? Let's see if I can see the response here in my debugger. Contact manager, get contacts async. And I doubt I can see it because it just kind of creates it. And you know what? I didn't check. The API we validated worked. I betcha it is here in the deserialization. If I get a breakpoint there or not, yeah, I broke here. So let's take a look at the content first to make sure it's there. It appeared back on another screen because it timed out. I'm going to hit refresh on the page. Yeah, it just took too long. That's what happens when you debug in the web, i.e. Edge, Chrome. They'll complain if it takes too long to come back. So I'm just going to hit play because we know that's good. And let's get back to the controller here. The breakpoint there. Might not have that one in. Thought I had that one going. I'm going to relaunch the page and hopefully have it come back. I want to break here to see what's in the string to make sure we're getting back all 12. And it's most likely just here. I probably have the wrong method for deserializing it. Come on. Refresh. Let's restart the UI. I haven't tried debugging two projects at the same time yet. Okay, hitting contacts on a different page. Okay, so our content is right. So it built a very long string. We see here has everything we need: contact ID, first name, last name, etc. But I'm guessing during the deserialization is where I messed up. Yeah, so I have this part wrong. Okay, that's no biggie. That's an easy one to fix. Okay, system.json system.text.json deserialize. Once we build this out, it's relatively easy going back and forth. It's just that initial part. Okay, we got the serialization behavior, deserialize. How do we JSON into .NET objects? Deserialize. Why did I do that? JSON serializer.deserialize. JSON serializer.deserialize. What if? Let's take a look at the format, make sure I got it right. Let's try turning it into a list, maybe, and not an IEnumerable. But boy. It's definitely taking a while to build here. Clicking contacts on a different screen. Let's see how it works. Don't deserialize it. Content is right. Serialize from a string of file calls. The serialize method creates an instance whether shown earlier. By default, matches case sensitive. Oh. By default, property name matching is case sensitive. That's probably why it's failing, because these are not case sensitive. Yeah, because our class is named capital F name, capital middle name, or capital M name. So I have to change that. So let's stop this. Let's see if the conversion. Capital, so then set there's our deserialization. Case insensitive property matching. Okay, so we need to do this here. And then content, comma, options. Now let's give that bad boy a shot. And again, all this serialization, deserialization, once the validator works here, we're going to refactor this out and make it so that your controller method only calls one service, similar to what we did in Manager, so all this code doesn't have to get repeated over and over again. Okay, off to another screen, clicking contacts. You can always tell when that other screen lights up because it gets super bright and my face turns all red here. Now let's see what contacts are, evaluate. Seems to be faster this way. Yes, there we go. So now I can close this, hit play, bring this bad boy back to the screen, and voila, we are done. Those are all the contacts in our list. Able to successfully pull them from an authenticated API. Next, we'll go and clean these up and then add some user interface cleanup around that. That's it for now. I'll post this video soon, and maybe tomorrow or sometime over the weekend we'll do a kind of refactoring piece together. Thanks for joining. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me on any of the social media or my email address, and I'll be more than happy to help. Thanks for showing up. Have a great day.